Hi, welcome. Today we're making this quick and easy water bottle carrier. My family and I really like these water bottle carriers. They really make it easier to hold onto your water bottle. You're not gripping a small loop. You don't have to grip around the outside of the bottle. They absorb a little bit of sweat. If your water bottle sweats, they'll absorb some of that. And they're easy to clean. You can just throw them in the wash machine if they get dirty. And you can also personalize them. If you have someone that has a favorite color or theme, you can make them a nice carrier. To make this project, you'll need to download the pattern that I've included and cut it out. And you will need 2 fat quarters of fabric and a piece of batting. For the large pattern piece I have here, you'll want to cut out 4 pieces of fabric, 2 for the outside of the bag and 2 for the inside of the bag. For the round circle, you'll want to cut out 1 piece of fabric for the outside of the bag and 1 piece of fabric for the inside of the bag. So here you can see that I've cut out 2 pieces of fabric for my lining and 2 pieces of fabric for my outside of my bag. My fabric is positioned with right sides together, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam across the top of the handle. Once I have my pieces sewn together, I'm going to give them a pressing, and I'm going to press the seam to one side. Next, we're going to lay out our fabric that we've chosen for the outside of our water bottle carrier, and we're going to lay that on a piece of batting because we are going to take it to the sewing machine and quilt some type of design on it. If you don't have a long, thin piece of batting, you can join 2 pieces of batting together. Here I have joined 2 pieces of batting together with a zigzag stitch. To hide that zigzag stitch, I'm going to place my seam of my where I sewed my 2 water bottle handles together right on that zigzag stitch because that's where my fabric is the thickest. When I'm doing small projects, I like to iron my top fabric to my batting. It just makes it stick a little bit, and then I don't have to use any type of adhesive to hold it together. I'll just pin it down and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll sew some type of pattern in it. So here you can see that I've just done a grid pattern on my outside fabric to hold it to the batting. Once you have sewed your outside fabric to your batting, you're going to want to cut that out. You can use scissors or you can use a rotor cutter to do this, whatever you feel comfortable with. Once you have your extra batting cut off, we're going to layer our 2 fabrics with right sides together, our lining fabric and our outside fabric together, and we're going to pin them together and sew them. When pinning these 2 together, line up your handle seam and make sure that your seam allowances are going in opposite directions. Once you have the fabrics pinned together, you're going to want to sew down the long edges of the sides. We're going to leave the bottom of the bag open. The bottom of the carrier on each side we're going to leave open. So here you can see that I have sewn down the sides of my bag and I've left the bottoms of the bag open, unsewn. Next I'm going to clip the corners to make sure that when I turn this out they lay properly. Once my corners are clipped, I'm going to turn my bag right side out. This can be a little tricky because the handle is so narrow. The easiest way that I found to turn this bag right side out was to use a pair of forceps or a pair of long nose pliers to pull the fabric through the handle. You'll want to be careful though and make sure that your tool is clean and that if it has like a serrated edge or a rough edge to it that you don't damage your fabric. Once you get your bag turned right side out, you're going to want to use a tool to push out your corners and get them as square as you can. Once your corners have been pushed out, you'll want to give your bag a good ironing. Now that we've pressed our bag, we're going to top stitch, sew about a 1/4 inch from the edge down each side of the handle. When we finished our top stitching, we're going to take our bag and fold it in half together with right sides together, and we are going to sew down the side seams about a 1/4 inch from the edge. When pinning this together, you want to line up the top edges because if the bottom edge is a little off, we can always trim that later, but we want to line up our top edges. When sewing this together, you'll want to back stitch or tack stitch at the top edge because you're going to be putting your bottle in and out of the bag through the top, so you want to make sure this area is strong. Once we've sewed our side seams, we want to press them open. If you feel like your bottom edge is a little uneven or your batting is sticking out, you can always give that a little trim. So next we're going to work on the bottom of our bag, and for the bottom of the bag you'll need to cut out a circle of the top fabric, the lining, and a piece of batting the same size. And we're going to make a quilt sandwich out of this. So we're going to put our lining, our batting, and then our top fabric all right sides out. You'll want these 3 pieces to stay together somehow, whether you used clips or a pin. You're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to do some type of quilting to match the outside of the bag and to hold the 3 layers together. Now we're going to sew this round piece of fabric in the bottom of our bottle holder. There's several ways you can do this, but one of the easiest ways for me is to mark the circle into quarters and then mark the bottle holder into quarters as well. So the side seams give you a marking that you can line up a pin with, and then the pin that's opposite of the one that you're pinning would go to your other side seam. And then you can make a crease in the sides of your bag to mark out your other two parts of the quarter of the circle. When you're doing this, I think the easiest way, one of the easiest ways, is to have the lining of the fabric facing you, facing out, and then make sure that your circle piece of fabric also has the lining facing you so that you're matching up the right sides of the fabric. And once you get this pinned into quarters, then you can pin in between the quarters, kind of work, if you've got any little gaps or puckers, you can work that out in between the quarter pins and do some more pinning to make this work out. So when you're pinning this, you should have a few gathers in the bottom circle, but if it works out right, you should have no gathers in the sides of the bag. This is a little tricky to do because you can't get, it's hard to get with cutting and seam allowances, the circle and the outside of the bag to be exactly the same size and then sewed so that it's exactly perfect. But it's good, and nobody will notice if there's a little pucker, a little scrunch in the bottom of the bag. Once you have this all pinned together, you'll want to take it to the sewing machine and sew about a 1/4 inch from the raw edge. Once you've sewn your bottom on, you'll want to turn it right side out and make sure you like the way it looks. Make sure that everything looks right to you. Once you've checked the bottom and you've got it completely sewed on, you can finish these raw edges if you would like, or you can leave them unfinished. You could always run it through a serger, do an overlocking stitch or zigzag stitch, or trim it up. That's up to you. You can leave it as it is. No one will ever see it. When you put your water bottle in and out of the bag, nobody's going to see the inside bottom edge. So it's up to you how you would like to finish this, or if you would like to leave that raw edge alone. Hopefully you'll give this project a try. I know my family and I have really enjoyed using these throughout the years. We've run them through the washing machine several times and they've held up really well. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider subscribing. Please like and comment. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.